Hello, welcome to the Valve Bounce. What a massive bumper episode we've got this week.
We have got a huge one today, Damo, or tonight, I should say, for us. It's round one preview. We've had some testing today for the Supercars, and we also had F1 launching their 75-year event this morning, which was huge.
Huge, massive event, yes, and that makes for a bumper episode for us.
It certainly does, and sorry for those who, if they're confusing us. I know I've got glasses on today. I've clean shaven. It looks a bit weird. I'm so sorry. But I am Steve, I promise.
I am Damo, the better looking one, as they say. So there we go.
We'll agree to disagree.
Sorry, yes. Beautiful.
Very good.
Wow.
All right, mate. So should we kick in?
Yeah, let's go.
Straight into the supercars. I mean, today we've had a bit of testing, but before we get to that, we had the lead up to that, which was the Sydney Harbour crossing, mate. What did you make of that? Did you enjoy it?
I was actually quite happy with it. Now, initially, I thought like it was just this thing of, like, oh yeah, they're going across the harbour bridge. Everybody does it. Like, we've been there, done that. But then I saw on the YouTube's the Supercars footage, which was like no commentary, no, just the sounds of the cars, all the imagery they put in there, and then like some of the photos and in particular like Jack Martin's photography on Instagram, his photo in the tunnel with that kind of blue filter, mate. That is one of the best Supercars photos I've seen in a long time. And I just suddenly got caught up in it. I was like, I actually think this is really cool.
Yeah, one good edit goes a long way, right?
Yeah, it does.
Look, I'm less as excited by it than you. I wasn't too bad with it, but at the start I was pretty like, this is a bit lackluster. I think the tunnel run was good.
Yeah.
I think they should have shut down the entire bridge for it. But they didn't. They had the cars running in the opposite direction, which kind of irritated me.
Yeah, I think there was that one where you put wait for it and like the car goes in front and I'm like, yeah, I understand it's Sydney. It's pretty hard to shut down, but yeah, it definitely did kind of detract in some parts for sure.
It did. It's not like the Mark Webber day of the Williams running straight across, screaming V10 type thing. But you know what? Kudos to Supercars for trying something different, and I thought it was, overall it was pretty good. You can't really complain with Supercars driving on the road, can you?
No, you can't. There's the photo. I just brought up the photo quickly to show that is chef's kiss. A great photo. Just the blur in the background. Just love it. So yeah. Anyway, that's all I need to share with that one.
Very good. Very good. Well, we've got some other interesting things about that because apparently this Friday, Davey and Matt Shervington are having a race.
Well, how old's Shervo? Because
I don't know. He's going to do a hammy.
He might. I'm just hoping he's not in the whole Lycra outfit again. That might not be that pleasing. And I think it's over 30 meters. So as if Dave's got any chance getting up to speed and then having to come back, I think. So it's like, it's a bit of a show. Look, it's good. We get a slightly different audience, I guess, through Sunrise for doing that stuff. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
I think, look, to be fair to Channel 7 with this whole situation, they're trying to be more involved, it seems. So they're going to be live on the Friday and the Saturday and the Sunday morning. With Sunrise. So look, kudos to them for trying this stuff out and getting a bit more involved because they have been kind of MIA ever since they picked up the contract last time around. So I'm here for it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that any of that sort of publicity is good, and certainly off the back of pretty lackluster from 2024, to be honest.
Not wrong. Any improvement is a good improvement.
Yeah, so true. So true.
So other than that, mate,
yeah,
we've had some extra liveries come out since our last little chat. I think
exciting.
There's been a particularly good one, I think, although fairly unchanged, but very good PR work by Tickford and Cam Waters and the Monster Energy car.
Yeah, I'm showing them the pictures now. I agree. I think it's hard to really play with it because you can't do too much when you've got such a base livery, but it's always been a really good one, and the green headlights they're pretty cool.
They are pretty cool. I mean, they talked about bringing the green-eyed monster back. I don't think it's quite that, but it's it's still pretty good. And who knows, mate? With Triple Eight coming across to Ford, maybe if Lounsey signs on for a couple of years, they can reincarnate the old green-eyed monster.
Imagine that.
That'll be
I wonder how they put the Super Tube Auto livery attached to a grey and black. Yeah.
Oh, they just do a grey and black livery. I'm sure they can deal with it for 1 year.
Yeah, Super Tube are pretty creative, so they might be able to do something. That's a great idea, though. I like it.
It is. I think so. And obviously we had a couple others come out. So Jackson Evans and the SCT car looks pretty clean, actually. A little bit better. The grey and the white a little bit less jarring than the red and the white typically. So I actually think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I think the grey, the way they've used it and the trimmings have really worked a treat. I think it's a nice little livery, I think.
Yeah, not too bad. And the fairly unchanged, but it seems to be, I don't know, by Penrite today were talking about how good their liveries look. But it's very unchanged, very, very much the same. I'm excited. Like, it's a good looking car. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And, some will say don't change it, but I was kind of hoping that they'd have something a little different.
Yeah, and I think interesting that on that launch, could you tell a difference between the liveries? Was there? Because I'm certainly looking at it, and I was struggling to find it.
Well, for the last few years and continued on this year, they changed the grille color. So Kai Allen will have the red grille, and and young Matty Payne runs the white. So that is the distinction between the two. Kind of, it's not too dissimilar to what DJR have done with Brody and Will Davison, where they've got a yellow wing mirror for Brody and the white wing mirror for Wilbur. God, I can't get my words out, mate. Jesus, I'm suffering. Wilbur.
Good night with so much to talk about to be tripping over your words. But yeah, I didn't notice it at all. And then like some of the photos which I've been showing, like they're standing in front of the grill, so I was trying to look at everything, couldn't see it. And it's basically that one with their side sort of pointing nose in that it's like red and white, and it's just like, oh my gosh. I wonder how much, like, what the percentage of difference actually has to be. I guess if wing mirrors pass, then the little inset grills can pass as a difference in livery.
Yeah, I don't think there needs to be too much distinction. Just something, so that you can sort of pinpoint it. But like I said last week, big numbers on doors and bonnets really help.
Yeah, well, that Penrite stick is pretty big, so there's not much going on there.
No. And the last one that we had, this is kind of weird, right? Because we kind of had the Supercars launch, and then the day after we had Premier Racing revealing their livery. I kind of feel like that's a bit disconnected. But anyway, having said that, Premier Racing, they released their cars, and I must say, I don't mind them this year.
Yeah, I think they've done a nice job, like just with the lines heading up the vehicle, really matches nicely with the shape of the Camaro. They've just finer touches. They seem to have made it really, really sharp. So I like it too.
Yeah, I think it is really good. And just quickly, hey Jeff, how you going, mate? Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeff.
So that was the last of the liveries. So now we've seen them all. Who did it best?
Who did it best? I'm not sure. My sort of feeling is that there just wasn't too much change, right, across the whole year. And from last year, I should say. And so, I mean, you're certainly not picking. I mean, the biggest change is probably your shell car going to pretty much all white, but it certainly wasn't my favourite. And so I think I called out early. Although I must say, like the finer touches, we didn't touch on BRT too much. I think we missed that last week actually. But that was another one that was a nice refinement and improvement, I think, from last year.
Yep.
Can I? Oh, I don't know if I want to say it.
Just say it.
Oh, I think the Chico roll car for me is probably the best.
Such a closet Camaro fan.
Erebus too. Oh my goodness. Look, I think that was the best improvement, and I think it looks really tough. You know, I think the rest of the cars are all pretty cool. I obviously love I think Woody's car looks really tough too. So if I had to stick on brand, it would be Woody's.
Yeah, I tend to agree. On brand, definitely Woody's, and off brand, the Chico car is probably the best presented. Yeah. The others were like DJR close third, I guess, for changing it up.
Come on. Okay.
Well, you don't have to like it, mate. It's my own opinion.
True, it is your opinion. Yes, I'll let you have it.
I quite liked looking at that on track today. I thought it actually looked quite good. So
yeah. I did say that last week. It looks better. It does look better on track than some of those photos against the white background. So yeah, it was much better.
So does the Castrol car. The Castrol car looks good on track.
Yeah.
No. So no, not too bad. So we're all done and dusted with that. So other than those, mate, we've had some wildcard sort of news as well. Other than the one that we already had with Cricky.
Yeah.
So we've got Tickford announcing a wildcard for Lockie Dalton and Rylan Gray. So they'll share that at two separate rounds. One in Perth. Which is, I believe, with Lockie, and the Hidden Valley one will be with Rylan.
Yeah.
So they'll share that, and then they'll share the car at the Bend for the 500 and also Bathurst 1000, which is pretty exciting. It's good to see the young kids getting a run.
Yeah, and I think that's a really cool way, like, to get some miles for both enduro drivers, like sharing that out. I think it's really smart. So fingers crossed they can make a good fist of it.
I agree. I'm looking forward to seeing the car. Because it's the one car we haven't seen yet.
Very true. Yeah. So I think it's the last of the surprises with the wildcards too. So yeah, let's see how we go.
I think so. Yeah, no, it'll be good. It'll be good. And then we've got the juice. Did you hear about the juice?
Well, I did, but I think the biggest shock for me was the Holdsworth, that announcement. And then I think we were like, hang on, what's happening at WAU? And then the juice gets announced. Yeah, Jada.
After so long, he gets his call up properly into a proper team.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see how he goes. But yes, you're right. The news of Holdsworth just popping up at Team 18 just all of a sudden was like, oh, hang on, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Because obviously that spin at Sandown was enough to say, listen, thanks, but no thanks. But I've actually got a different theory for that.
Okay.
So here's my theory. I don't actually think the spin was what cost him. I think what cost him was Frosty. And I think WAU may have tried to chase Frosty and had to release
good call. Yeah.
And it obviously didn't work out. So, Jaden was the next best catalyst to go in that car.
I think that's probably a good theory because, it does seem really weird because, he had that one spin, but he'd been so good, for everything else. And it'd be a shame if that was the reason, but that would make perfect sense where perhaps they tried to commit down the line to Frosty. And the old Holdsworth went, I need to get a drive, so I'm going over here. So, that makes perfect sense. And, it'll be interesting to see who actually gets that call up, with Chaz or with Woody, because they haven't announced that either. So you've obviously still got Coulthard there, and then you've got Jaden. So we'll see how that goes, and probably will come down to a little bit of who's going well in the championship, perhaps.
Just a little bit of lap time and what's going on, and we'll see out of the test. I mean, they haven't got a lot of testing, do they, in the lead up now, so
True.
it's going to be hard.
True. Well, yeah, I guess that brings us to like another little announcement that happened that kind of snuck in, and no driver swaps.
Yeah, so you remember that back in the day, Scaife used to jump into one of the other competitors' cars and
In
do
the
10
early
laps and give
days.
them a bit of feedback and all that sort of
Yep.
thing. Well, they've now put in a clause to stop it. So it's a complete ban. Nobody can do it. There's no 10-lap run, no nothing. I think when I look at this, I kind of I understand it, but I also think it's a little bit detrimental to some of the smaller teams. It doesn't really affect the bigger teams. They know where they're going, but if the smaller teams don't have a way forward or they're getting lost, I think this could be quite useful for them. But unfortunately, it's gone, so they'll just have to make do.
Yeah, I think probably where it gets really tricky is that it's like some of the customer teams where they could really benchmark to make sure the cars were in the right direction. They used to get, Will Brown might pop in or Brock would pop into the Premier car just to balance it, make sure from a customer point of view, it was where it should be. And I think, as you say, those smaller teams like that, where you've got an experienced driver who can't run in the other car to validate some of the data coming from the other driver, seems a strange one. And I just wonder if there was some sort of clause that they had left open with that 10-lap thing that perhaps they realised and they had to shut it down. I don't know. But, yeah, it was an odd one to almost come out of nowhere.
Yeah, it did. It was like nobody ever spoke about it. It never seemed to be a problem, but obviously they found some loophole somehow that would cause problem. I don't know.
Yeah.
Up to them, at the end of the day, they make the decisions, don't they? So we just roll with it and explain it to the lovely people who tune in.
Well, we try. We can't make head or tails of that one, but yeah, we definitely at least let people know, hey?
That's it.
All right. All right. Well, I guess that kind of all the news and liveries and things like that kind of wraps that up. Let's kick open the S&P test that happened. Day one, a few things happening. Looking at a rather white paint job on one of the Premier cars. Looking at a shorter version of Love's car. There was a bit going on.
There was, and unfortunately, Supercars didn't do a great job of showcasing any of it.
Yeah.
It's at the very least to sign up for the app and then go into that, and it's like, oh yeah, live commentary, and it gets to 9:01, and then there's no more commentary coming through. That's pretty bad. But thankfully, I'll shout out Speed Cafe because they had live commentary, so you were able to sort of follow that if you needed to. But yeah, we had a couple of issues with Camaros with batteries. So first it was Cam Hill in the garage, I believe. So they got onto it pretty quickly. But then, bloody Jimmy's car was coming out of the last corner and it just caught on fire.
Yeah.
So that's no good.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the battery fires were pretty much all to do with the Mustangs in the first year of Gen 3. So strange that it's come up now, and obviously something has been changed in the way they've set their car up to cause that to happen. But yeah, it was interesting. I will note, like I did say to Steve, we're having a conversation, I'm like, let's just sign up for the app, then we can get the best information. We can really share it on this podcast. And then I think you sent me something at like, whatever, it was 9:30. You're going, like, what the I've got nothing since 9:01. I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah. Okay, you don't have extra footage? No, not testing. Oh, you don't have commentary? No. I'm like, all right.
Coming through.
I was trying to, where I could between work, watch Natsoft just to see times with no explanation of anything. And you were on Speed Cafe. So it was just like, hopefully, that yearly subscription pays off during the rounds, hey?
Look, I'm sure it will once everything starts up, but it would have been nice if they didn't have to run any footage, but
no.
it would have been nice if the commentary was rolling on it properly. They
Yeah.
did get the live timing did end up working.
Oh, yeah.
I think that sort of came on at about 10:30 for me anyway.
Right.
So at least that sort of popped up. But as it was, I just ended up switching across because I had Speed Cafe open on the laptop. I just had that as well as the NatSoft open because it's just easier.
Just easier. Yes. Well, we talked about the Camaros. What was the go with Aaron Love's car?
So I actually just read an article about it. They don't actually know what happened. He arrived at turn 2 and pedal went to the floor.
Yeah.
So I'm not entirely sure, but it does, like, they haven't said they made a brake change or anything like that, which is what would be most common if the pedal hadn't been pumped or whatever.
Yeah.
But it kind of sounds like something somehow has either come loose or has broken on something, and he's pushed the pedal. It hasn't worked, and thankfully he's okay, but it was a pretty hard hit.
Yeah.
I will give you a hot tip if anyone's looking at the actual car. I don't know if you've got that open, Damo, but
no, let me find it right now, and I'll bring it up and we can have a look while we're talking.
Yeah, but the whole back end is pretty whacked.
It was pretty caved in.
Yeah,
and not the greatest spot to have that failure. So
it's a high speed really. Other than entry into turn 1, it's really quick, and obviously it's a big braking zone. So they do have some runoff there, but if you're doing 240 odd plus and you hit the brake and it doesn't work, well, you're not going to arrest much speed, are you?
No, you're not. And oh, hang on. I think.
Come on, mate.
No, hang on.
No, there we go.
Do a quick test. Am I here?
Hey, you're here. I can see or I can hear you.
You can hear me? I feel like we might have frozen because my computer has frozen. No, maybe we're coming back.
Coming back. I can see your mouse rolling across the screen at the moment.
All right. All right. We might be okay. Yeah, my computer's come back.
All right. Very good.
Very good. Okay, we're good. Sorry about that, peeps. Like legitimately, it was just everything froze from my end. It's like, hey, just what we want. I've got that picture up on screen, and you can see that it's actually caved a whole chunk of that in, and you can see absolutely squash it right down. So
to the point that BRT don't have the means to fix it, and they've called on Jimmy Stone out of MSR, who's going to come across and help. So pretty good that the other teams will help out, but no good to start a year. Like, they haven't even started a year. It's a bloody test day, for Christ's sake. So not a great start, especially considering there's a lot of rumors around Aaron Love anyway to begin with for this year. So hopefully they get that car back on track and he can have a half decent weekend, and maybe prove to a few people that he's actually good.
Let's hope so, because it's not, especially if it's not his fault, it's still not great for your confidence, and obviously it's a pretty important year for him. So
definitely.
All right, now let's have so the first session, the morning session.
Yes,
that was people weren't running new tires. I think maybe some did. I didn't hear the report. I saw a bit of an interview, and I think it was Brock and Chaz who were saying, we're not running new tires. We're not sure who has, but Percat ended up on top.
Yeah, he did, and I believe he did it on the old tire as well. So he was pretty quick. It's always hard watching these test days. What does it all mean? Basil sort of pops into my head. But Percat topped the times. It was a bit of a mixed bag in the morning, so nobody really seemed to be running really hard. Early on, Woody was looking good, and even Cam Hill had a bit of time at the top as well. So the MSR cars appear to be running reasonably well, because even in both sessions, they were both towards the front end of the grid. So that's good news for them, bad news for us, but
yes.
But, I kind of like MSR quietly, secretly. Wish that they'd been a Ford, but, we can't win them all.
Can't win them all. They did try. So
They did.
They did try.
Those Ford who quashed it, idiots.
Yeah. So, what else do you think came out of today? What was the final session? How did that kind of go?
So, final session was really interesting, sort of in the last 10 minutes. Ryan Wood put in a time that sort of got 1.5 tenths up over Brock Feeney and Cam Hill, and even Waters for that matter. And then right at the end, and I mean right at the end, Brown knocked him off by 4 tenths. So that's pretty ominous.
Just never letting Brock get one over him.
No, definitely not. I think, he'll be even more calm now that he's had a championship win. So that often becomes dangerous because they tend to get in some cases, drivers tend to get faster after they win a championship because it's monkey off the back type thing. So, I think he's going to be hard to beat. We won't know full anger until this weekend. But again, Ryan Wood, second, and I think it was Brock. I should have checked before I said that. I'm pretty sure it was Brock who was sitting in third.
Yeah. Well, while you check that, I'll just say, it looks like the extra.
Oh, it's Cam. Sorry, I missed Cam and then Brock. No, Cam.
Waters. Sorry.
And then Feeney. So
gotcha.
Yeah, Hill and Percat, actually they drifted further down than I thought in the end. So Hill fell back to 7th and Percat dropped out of the 10 into 12th. So
okay.
But yeah, no, it was very interesting. It was very close between Ryan Wood down to pretty much 10th. So there's about a 10th between them. So it's going to be close, and you're going to have to get it right.
Yeah, well, that does sound pretty close. Obviously, I didn't see or couldn't track any of that last session, but it does feel like the extra work that Woody's done over the summer break, trim down a bit, get a bit more focus. Might be a bit of a challenge for the old Chaz to kind of line up against if he's on form like this. So yeah, it'd be good, interesting to watch.
It will be a very interesting watch.
And then I guess lastly, just to wrap up the testing, there was a few issues. Just a few issues that popped out from the testing. Any issues with churning and trying to fit the churn into the refueling, you reckon?
Yeah, a little bit. So in NASCAR, those refueling, I don't know what they call them, jigs. I don't know what they actually call them.
Yep.
So they're lower, and it's more resting, sort of on your chest and straight into the car.
Push in, yep.
Problem with Gen 3 is that the refueling area for them is in that window, in that glass house. So they're having to lift it right up and then drop it in, which means all the weight of 20 litres or whatever is way up high.
Yeah.
And if you miss or if a driver overshoots, Brad Jones actually said it's not milliseconds for the fuel guy to adjust, it's seconds.
It's seconds.
So this could be the difference this weekend on whether you stay in front or tumble down the order. The interesting part is that no team had any of these fuel rigs until last week.
Yeah.
So they haven't had much time to practice.
So they would have done some testing as soon as they got them and then realized, oh shit.
I think the smart ones probably would have had their own version of it.
Yeah.
And then done some testing. So, but yeah, apparently there was some very slow stops at the very start of the day, but by the end, people were getting used to it. So, yeah, I guess we just got to watch this space and see how that changes the outcome.
Yeah, it's obviously, as we said, the lead into this round. It's a change for this year. That's trying to shake it up, and maybe it will at some point, especially under pressure. There will be mistakes. There's normally mistakes just from the regular fuel rig, but you start throwing in, this new churn up so high and the weight to try and get it in. Yeah, it's going to be trouble, and that the overshoot from the driver is going to make it a
hugely key,
massive issue, massive.
And like just imagine you overbalance with it. I don't think you're going to save it. It's gone. So that it could be just so many things that could unfold from this. So, could be the difference between winning and losing.
We might be one trip and a fire away from never having them ever again. like at the extreme, that's probably what it could be, right? So
at the extreme, definitely. But I just think, like all these things, I actually think they're a really good idea. I'd love to take on the NASCAR philosophy where we don't have all these big rigs and all that stuff, and we have these fly in, fly out crew type thing going on.
Yeah.
Just cheaper, more cost effective for everyone, and it means that you get this jeopardy where something could go wrong.
It's another, as I say, they're mixing it up, and it's another way for the teams to to have that challenge, and for those that nail it, it's going to be worthwhile, I think.
It is. So I think we should probably switch our focus, and I didn't actually write this in, but I did actually. There it is. Preview of round 1.
Yes, you did sneak it in. Let's get that out of the way.
I think this is interesting. So we've sort of covered the first point that I had. What we learned from testing, which was not a lot.
No. Other than that, which we haven't talked of, is the new tyre. There was limited running on it. Everyone was trying to save them up. They didn't have many to use, from what I heard. And there's some good stuff coming out that people are talking about the way the tyre works. So fingers crossed, we'll see how that actually goes when you start doing real hot laps on it, and we start talking about being in traffic and behind cars. So, but that's kind of a positive too at this stage.
It is. I did listen to Apex Hunters, and they were saying that it'll be a negative because the fast cars will just drive off and blah 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 blah. Yeah. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully we get some good tussling and not just have an overheating tire. And, like kind of go back to the days where you'd see a car roll up on the back. Like springing to mind is like 96 Sandown 500 between Lowndes and Cedo. Yeah. Where Lowndes would go and attack, couldn't quite do it, overheats the tyres, would drop back for a little bit for like a lap, and then would attack again.
Yeah.
So hopefully we get back to that stage. If we do, if we don't, we'll see. But that's fingers crossed, man. Come on.
Positive.
It's gonna work.
Let's be positive.
Positive thinking.
Well, let's be positive about how shit our predictions. So we haven't really got predictions in there, but you've written in there who's going to win, who's going to fail, and who's going to stand out. So it's let's kick it off, mate.
All right.
Who do you think's going to win? Now we've got 3 races. Is that correct? So
I believe so.
Yeah, 1 shorter one and then 2 slightly longer ones.
Sounds right. Yeah.
And so, what do you reckon? Who's going to take it out based off one day of limited testing where people were still being cagey?
Yeah, definitely people are still being cagey. I just based on pure performance from last year, I still think Chaz hasn't shown his cards.
Yeah.
And I think you'll find he probably won't get pole. I don't think he's quite got the 1 lap speed in him anymore. I actually think that Ryan Wood might grab the pole.
Okay.
But yeah, I think Chaz will probably win the weekend overall.
Right.
But I do think it's going to be strongly contested. I think Brown's going to be very strong. Brock is always, actually, Sydney's not his strongest, so he might not be that strong here. We'll wait and see. I'm back in Chaz. I'm back in the boy. I think he can get it done. What about you, mate? Who are you thinking?
Well, this is why sometimes we do a pre-document so that we can not have clashes. Now, I was saying, exact moment was going to be, Chaz was so dominant last time they were there, which was, I don't know, whatever that was, in July, middle of the year sometime, that I just feel like, today, I saw the interview he had during the lunchtime break, because that was on Instagram, and I was having some lunch, and I just, like, he just felt like he was kind of comfy, but not giving too much away. And so I reckon you're right, he's holding back a bit. But if I was to sort of step outside of that, I think Cam Waters might be my outside roughie. But I think really between Brown and Chaz should be the two that are going for it.
Yeah, I think you're right. Waters, I only go by because Tickford never starts strong. I'm hoping that changes this year.
I know.
But it always seems like they don't start strong. So, yeah, but I agree. If Cam's on and the team's on, huge possibility. The other one that we didn't really see take a swing at it today, Brody. He literally just trundled around, got used to the car, got his understandings. Like he never really went hard. So that's another smoky, because if he likes the car and it's speedy, well, shit, he'll be at the front. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I think it's going to be a tightly contested year, tightly contested weekend. It's a shit place to start the whole thing, but you know, next to a garbage tip. But you know, the old tip. We have to start in Sydney, Damo. We have to start in Sydney.
It's got to be New South Wales. Yeah, actually, where did Brody actually end up?
I can tell you.
Let me have a quick look.
Where Brody? Because I've still got it open.
Yeah, I'm scrolling now. Scroll. He was a long way down.
He's down in 19th. Yeah.
Okay.
As I said, he didn't take a swing at it at all. Yeah. He literally did long runs all day. Never really. I think he had early on in the first piece, he sort of had a go and was about a 10th off Davo. And never really took a swing again. So
okay.
I'll be interested to see how he goes come the weekend.
All right, let's see how it goes. Now, who will fail? Interesting.
I've already had that, haven't we?
Well, I can give it a bit of an outsider, and it's a bit of a dad joke groan. But Anton going from Shell last year to T80, I think he ended up like he was actually, I'm looking 5th last year in that second race, and he actually 5th I think in both races. So he goes all right there, but I just don't see him based off back to back year to year. I think that's going to be a fail. I can't really see, after what sort of transpired today, I don't really see anyone having a massive fail unless you talk about these battery fires. If they start kicking in, like, you know, if a 888 suffers that, then that's going to be a big fail, and it's going to be really throw a wrench into the things. But I don't really see anyone having some majors at the moment.
So looking up and down the field, I kind of tend to agree. There shouldn't be any major failings. But I suppose what I'm looking at is expectation versus what the result will be.
Yep.
I think you're kind of right on the Anton, because in the test early on, he was actually quite quick. But in the end, he ended up 13th in the session in the afternoon. So I think there'll be a few expectations that Team 18 will be further up the grid to start the year. And I have a feeling they might end up a bit further down than first predicted, especially once everybody gets up and running. But, like, I don't want to see anyone have a failing, so to speak. But if I was to put one down to it, going into turn 2 at Sydney Motorsport Park, there's always one or two that go in too hard and nail someone, right?
Yeah.
So if I look at that, then I'm looking at probably a Cooper Murray or a Kai Allen.
Yeah, just one of the new guys.
New.
Yep.
But at the same time, I mean, I've seen Frosty nail, Macaulay Jones there.
Yeah, that was a bad one too. Like it was legit.
That was so there can be, it could be any of those, but I think probably one of the younger guys. I hope Aaron Lover's got his bad luck out of the way.
Yep.
But if BRT is striking me as a team not very organised at the moment, which
agree.
is a bit disappointing.
Yeah, I think they seem to be a little bit in the struggle town. In the lead up, there was not so much a great feeling coming from the team. They really want to do their best, but they just don't seem to be able to get everything lined up. That could be one that, whilst they weren't really that strong and the expectations aren't high, it would be pretty disappointing if they couldn't advance a little bit through the field, being Love's second year, Courtney's final year.
Yes, very true.
All right. Now, we did kind of touch on, but just in the last wrap-up, what do you reckon, who is going to be the big standout? What do you think is going to be, whether it's a driver or a team or something that's going to happen, what's the big standout you think from the weekend?
DJR.
Okay.
As a team. I just so many changes coming in, and they sound confident. In the way they're talking, their backs are talking like kind of like confidence, and when that team has an air of confidence, typically that means they're going to run well. So I think they'll turn around pretty quick. That doesn't mean I think they're going to win a race this weekend, but I think they will be, rather than battling in that mid back of the pack like they have been for so long, I actually think they'll probably cement themselves in the top sort of 6. That's where I see them.
Okay. I'm going to call out that, like, some of these new rule changes, like the overlap. I think something like that, whether it's a fuel thing, I think it's going to be one of those changes that's going to make an impact on the weekend, for better or worse. Yep. I think if there are a few safety cars, that overlap thing, I think, has got my dollar on it. Because, as I said last week, it really is like who can overlap who at what point, and have you got 3 or 4 cars that are then overlapped, and like you'll have people trying to burn down the grass to get in front of some or get to the overlap on someone. It could be quite chaotic, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Beauty. Well, that's about it for the supercars. I think that wraps it up. Now, time to kick it off with a spectacular, over-the-top, huge launch that F1 did for their 75th year. And
we need the F1 theme music, Damo. Where's the F1 theme music?
No, don't, because it will get copyrighted. We'll get in trouble. They'll shut us down.
You're in trouble?
Yeah, we do need a bit of that. Although that guy is a bit hit and miss, because he did do the Alpine.
Oh, was that the same?
Same guy.
That was that guy.
Yeah. Let's touch on that a bit later.
Yeah. All right. Let's touch on that a bit later. Let's start with the start and the host, which was Jack Whitehall, who's a comedian. If you haven't ever heard of him or seen him, he's actually a reasonably funny bloke and does some really good skits with his father and his mother, which can be quite hilarious. But I actually think it was a breath of fresh air seeing a comedian host an F1 show. Just brought the level to the right zone.
Yeah, and they didn't restrict him too much. I don't know if they did restrict him at all, but he still threw in, a few jokes about people, the Max and George little fight. Like, just throwing in some of those things, I think, made it perfect. I think you're right. He was a great host. When it kicked off, I was a little concerned that we're just a little too British, and I was starting to feel we're in England and we've got a British host, and what's this going to be like? But I think he nailed it. I think it was really good.
Yeah, I think I agree. He did an extraordinary job, and I like you at the very beginning, because he was reading from a teleprompter at the start to get all the right stuff out of the way, I guess.
Yep.
I was like, oh God, how British is this going to be? But but in the end, Jack just sort of made it his own, and I still rewatched the Gordon Ramsay interview, having a dig at the FIA, and that was absolute classic.
Just a little spicy. We'll get to the FIA in another section as well, but Jesus, yes, that was refreshing. I think they say, to be polite.
Very refreshing. Thanks, Gordon, for bringing it back.
Yeah.
But, so good. And the other skit where he's looking at looking at Charles and getting lost in his eyes.
Yeah. Like that felt like off the cuff, but yeah, it was awesome.
It was off the cuff, but it also sort of validated my line of thinking, because at the time it was the Sky team talking.
F1 commentators, so although they appear on Sky, I think it was a nice blend where really it was just Martin Brundle was the only probably real Sky person that's on all the time. So yeah,
exactly. But we can have Martin. Martin's good.
Yeah, and then now I know you don't know this, but I did double check. I just did some research as well, because you wanted to talk about the first band, which.
Yeah, I don't know who they are.
Machine Gun. Well, it's Machine Gun Kelly, and I thought it was very interesting because, like, I'll say allegedly, but there's stuff in the news that he was involved in some Diddy parties, right? So I think it's a very interesting choice to kind of have. Like, I know there's a lot of people that are like caught up in the Diddy party stuff, but. I thought it was a very interesting choice on that front, and on the front that, if you remember, he's been on the grid and has been basically a twat when he's been doing the interviews. And he obviously likes it, but doesn't. I don't know how much, or I don't know. They seem to got him back to do this performance, and I thought it was just. The song, like the music itself is okay, but it just, I don't know. None of the music for me seemed to really hit at all in the terms of the singers and the bands. There was some good performances, but I just felt like it was all over the place. It just didn't seem to, didn't nail it like you do when you get the F1 theme song and you feel that, we get excited, F1. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably the one miss, really, was that the bands and so forth weren't great. To be fair, what's Robbie Williams' band? Does it Take That? Have I got that right?
Yeah, well...
He was right at the end. That was okay.
No. Like, I did love that the introduction from Jake, because he goes, they've improved aero efficiency because they've gone from 5 to 4 to 3. It's just like, and I couldn't remember. I was like, is that the Justin Timberlake one, or is that who is that one? But then I went, it's Robbie, because it's British, isn't it? So yeah.
I can take it or leave it.
Yeah, take that indeed. Let's get off the bands. Apart from, I will say, and we were talking about the Alpine doing their like a massive long song, and I was just
was weird, man.
It was very weird. The song didn't have any real punch. It was good, but not great. And then that was the guy that did the F1 theme song. So I sort of felt like. Right. Not everyone's a hit, right? It's like, it's just bit of a disappointment, that one.
His set's fine, but the problem is that there weren't enough drugs in the facility to make people start raving and get up. And DJs are one of those things that they're really good when you're vibing to it. Like like certain instances when you're at a concert and stuff, then sure. But that type of thing, and for that long, it was a bit too long, and there was nothing to go with it. A lot of the teams had, graphics. Like some of the Aston Martin graphics were really cool. I think Ferrari even had some graphics that were pretty good.
Ferrari's was good,
And there was another one as well that also ran pretty cool graphics as well. There was something to go with the song that was playing in the background.
Yeah.
And this was just this guy. DJ
on the decks.
on the decks, and there was just nothing else to go with it, and it was just like, oh, okay.
I was just thinking through that. I'm like, man, you need like a Fat Boy Slim, like doing, like you need that caliber of DJ to kind of hype up and get the feeling going, because I just hit and miss. Anyway, let's get off that shit. Let's go on to the liveries, eh?
Let's get on to the liveries, because we couldn't see the cars.
God, could they take a close up at any point, please? Like all these zoomed out, and I'm like,
flashy lights.
Oh God, okay.
What was it? Was it the Merc one where they were all walking like side by side, and you couldn't actually see the freaking car for
and did a wheel change? I was like,
that was weird.
Why? Like, why?
I know. Just really. There's no one in the car, mate. It's not going anywhere. Come on.
Yeah.
And to top it off with Merc, sorry.
Yeah, go with Merc, because I was going to launch into about their livery. Go.
Yeah. So to top it off with Merc, they were the only team, and this pisses me off. They were the only team to not have official photos released at the time they were revealing.
Yes.
Why? You are like, you have the most money. You can spend how you want. What are you doing? That says to me that Merc aren't on the ball. Just personally.
They've fallen apart, because they used to be so good. And I'm just showing the motorsport.com, which has got all the liveries, and you'll see from some of the other ones, like there's official photos and things, but the Merc one is with all the lights over it, and it just, I don't know. These guys have rated it number 3, but we'll get to that a bit later. But
number 3? Come on, what drugs are they smoking?
Anyway. Yeah, I was really disappointed with that whole Merc thing. I felt like the lead in, the video towards it, it just feels
average.
Yeah, average. It's got this feel of, without being too harsh, but it feels like George Russell, where we've got this weird feeling about this person and the way things look and feel. It just, that's the vibe I'm getting right now. It's just like, man, without Hamilton, they're falling apart.
You having weird feelings about George Russell? You want to tell us something, Damo?
I can tell you, if I was, he would not be it. He would not be it. I get lost in those Charles Leclerc eyes, or maybe the hair of Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, that bastard. He's got a good head of hair.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was the Mercedes. We've gone on the liveries a little bit and touched on a few things. But, yeah, I thought it was pretty... I'm not really a fan of the way that, I like that when they had the darker colours. I thought that really looked tough on the cars. And now with too much silver, and then you've got that Petronas green and then a bit of black, it just sort of feels a bit lost for me.
It's not, again, a lot of the liveries this year, which we'll touch on, some of them just aren't really resolved, is how I'd put it. I don't think it's the worst livery in the world, but at the same time, it's not spectacular either. So I definitely wouldn't have had the third. Let's just go with that.
Yeah, well, let's put that. That's like the worst livery for me. But let's kind of go through them, and I'll present the screen, and hopefully we get some nice footage here. I'll just do a bit of zoom in. Oop, bit there we go. Righto. Aston Martin first.
Aston Martin. Well,
I'm looking at it but on different.
My screen. It is a little bit more black this year, a little less green.
Yep.
And a little silver. I can't tell who that actually is, but a little silver at the top.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Martin.
Yeah.
It's okay. I don't mind it. It's inoffensive. It's still Aston Martin. That's pretty good.
I think, it's hard to go wrong with that green too. So, Control C, Control V, the old copy paste. Red Bull, pretty much the same. I mean, it's just...
I feel like, touched on it with V8 Supercar, everything else. Just change it, for fuck's sake.
Just Red Bull, just chill out. Just give something different.
Give us something. Give us something.
Yeah.
Come on.
Okay, Williams. I like the shade of blue. Yeah, good quality blue. I really like the polish off. Good to see good Aussie tech company Atlassian now involved in F1. Like that's good for them sponsorship wise. But yeah, not great, not offensive. Just like real solid. 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I think we had a bit of a chat earlier, and I kind of feel like it's.
Oh, he's turning. He's changed his mind.
It just needs something. It needs something to break it up a bit, and I reckon they could do that with the Duracell. I reckon they could add a bit more gold somewhere that would just break it up just a little bit to give it a bit of a punch.
You said that earlier, and I had some thoughts.
Yeah. Okay.
Why don't they do that gold on the wheel covers?
Yeah, good point. Good point. That would solve it.
That would look. Well,
it
could look good. It could be one of those, the old bronze or the champagne colored wheels on the wrong color car. It might not work, but that would be a great way of breaking it. When you said it needs more Duracell, I was like, where would you put it? You put it on an end plate or whatever. It's like blah blah blah. But the wheel covers would be great. I think they've got sponsors on there, but the Duracell would be. I reckon.
I'm trying to. Oh, that's. Oh. It looks like they've kind of got a little bit of gold on there anyway. So why not? Why not just give it a gold strip around it at the very least, and then it'll look. I don't know, maybe just a little bit better.
A little bit better.
Just a little bit better.
Speaking of a little bit better. Speaking of a little bit better. 8 out of 10. Oh, for you. Right, nice. A little bit better. The steak Sauber kick.
Hungry. Look, the green is interesting, isn't it? Like it's
I like the
polarizing. Yeah. I do like it, but it is so strong. But I actually think they've done a really good job this year of blending it.
Yeah, I think that makes the green better because where they had the hard lines, it really did, especially on track, give you this.
Really strong.
Really strong. I think this is even better. I mean, I liked it initially at launch, and then you see it on the track, and I liked it a little less last year, but I quite like this. Yeah, I mean, I like a green car. You know that.
Yeah, and look, our mate Hawley will love it because it's green.
Green.
So, green. Hulk smash.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it looks pretty cool. I haven't got any problem with that. Hopefully they have found some performance this year because last year was pretty.
That was tough.
Cool.
Yeah.
For the drivers as well.
For the drivers, yeah. Man, poor Bottas. Anyway.
Definitely.
Right. Well, the last one that was unveiled, and I think probably I would say the Ferrari was really good, but I felt like the launch of them with having all the old cars in series and sequence was really cool. The McLaren, but the McLaren livery. Yeah, not the worst, but like, what are you doing?
Just a fail.
Yeah,
I mean, I've said this pretty much for the last few years as they've gone this, especially when they included that blue and everything. Yes, when they got rid of the blue, it was a better choice.
Yep.
But the way they bring the orange in is just wrong, and the nose is particularly horrendous.
Yeah.
I'd love to see them grow up, is how I'd put it. Like, just do a little bit more sophisticated styling design. And I mean, especially now that we're doing this big extravagant event, right? For that to be the last car. Yeah, it's pretty underwhelming.
Yeah. And it does look like it does raise the questions of, okay, everybody's put full liveries on. So do they have the weights under control? Or are they all going to strip back after the launch, which is really what I think should probably happen. Because if McLaren are still running with carbon everywhere, that potentially maybe they're still trying to manage that weight. I don't know.
Yeah, look, they might be. It's hard to know, but yeah, I just you know they can do a good design, right? We've seen it countless times. Just do it.
Yeah.
Like, why are we messing with this? Like, surely even the sponsors could get on board a more sophisticated design.
Yeah.
Anyway. Enough of that. I won't bring any more negativity to it.
All right. Well, normally I would say we're moving to Haas, and that for you is a negative point as a team. But you quite fancy them.
Well, I wouldn't say fancy. Shit, Damo, calm down.
Mr. Negative. Okay.
They've done a lot better this year with their design. Actually, I would go as far to say that this is the best Haas design we've had. So I think it's pretty clean. I think it's well thought out where the black and the white is placed and the reds. Is it perfect? No, but you know what? It kind of gives me a little bit of the old IndyCar look from like the 90s.
Yeah. Now you say that. Agree.
So I think, you know, it's a much, I don't know, it feels like a bit more of an American team, and they look like they've grown up a little bit, moved forward a little bit, taken some steps potentially. And, you know, obviously they've got Toyota on board as well. So all signs point the right way. So let's hope for them that it goes as well as it looks.
Yeah, let's hope so. All right. Splash of white Ferrari.
Ferrari.
And I say splash. I say splash because really that's kind of like, oh, we've got to make the HP logo stick out a bit more. Whack some white on it. When you see the car from the front, I was quite excited initially, and then you see it from the side, and I'm like, I don't know, it doesn't work for me. And it breaks my heart, but it just doesn't work. I think it's okay, but they've had worse, I must say. But yeah,
they have.
God. Anyway, this is Hamilton's car for the year.
Get excited, mate.
Yeah.
If it wins, nobody will cares. I put that up on one social media account. I don't think people liked it, but at the end of the day, it's not resolved. Especially when you look at it from the angle that we're both looking at it from, like that, the cut in where the carbon is, it just stops. It's
why?
It's very unresolved. I said to you off camera that they could have done many things to clean it up and, you know, make it feel a bit more integrated. But this is what we've got. And
that's what we've got.
The red, I will say, I actually don't mind the red. I think it'll look good on track in that respect. But there is a detail that I just noticed that I don't like, and that's that the wheels are the same color.
Yeah.
Sorry. No. Just change that. I don't know what to change it to right now, but that's got to go. Go back to black at the very least.
Ooh, yeah, I love that. That couple of years back we had that black and reminiscent of the 90s Ferrari. Oh, that was one of my faves. Yeah. Anyway, we've talked about Mercedes. Dud. Move on.
Going to another dud.
Alpine. Well, I must say it's better than it was, but it's still, as always, a mess, that car. And just the pink and the blue. Yeah, I'm not sure how they make it work, but yeah, it's not. It's okay for me. It's like a 5, 6 out of 10 for me.
It's like a unicorn spewed up pink on certain parts. I don't like it.
Yes.
I haven't. They just, I don't know. They need to rethink how they're doing it. A lot of F1 teams do. It just doesn't look any good. And not that you can tell by this particular image, but that big strip down the freaking nose, like the McLaren, I hate it. It doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Doesn't do anything for the car. I don't know. There's got to be ways to resolve it better than they have. You know, even adopting the Haas method, where maybe the blue comes halfway down the bonnet, and that might just break it up enough to look a little bit better. I don't know, but yeah,
I don't know.
it's a no from me. I give it a 5 at the very most.
Well, let's move on to better things and to the final one. In an absolute bombshell, I feel like
I was blindsided by this.
The VCAP, so the Visa Cash App Racing Balls.
Yep.
I had to practice
Very well done, Damo.
I had to practice that after watching them do that skit in the lead up. But damn, that the white, the way they've got the balls coming, like the way they use the Red Bull logo, I think I've done a really good job. One of the best. Probably my fave, actually. I'm not going to say one of the best. I think it's my fave.
I think we're so used to seeing black cars that a white car suddenly looks really fucking good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look,
could be.
It's not a bad design, is it? It shits on the sister car. It looks clean. The spotted bulls at the back of the car with the blue balls, I think is a really good graphic.
Yep.
I think it looks really good. They've done a great job. They haven't overdone it. You know, they've kept the black in certain areas so that it doesn't just completely overpower the car.
Yep.
Well,
there we
10
go.
out of 10. 10 out of 10.
That's our 10-10. Yeah.
Yep. 100%. I don't think you can do much better than that. It looks great. Placement's right. Bit of graphic. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, for sure. One of the best. One of the best. All right. Now that sort of takes us through the liveries. Now, let's talk about now. I think there might have been one or two more, but there were 3 significant boos that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I referred them, when I messaged you, to the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good was the immediate public response to when they flashed up the FIA and everybody started booing. That's good. I like that, right? Give them the feedback they deserve, right? So hopefully somebody takes that on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the good. The bad, I think, personally, was the booing which happened for Max. It wasn't too prominent. It was a little bit there.
No.
And that was also part of the early phase where I was like, oh, is this going to be too British, you know? I felt like we could do better than that as supporters. But in any case, I understand it because, he's a beast sometimes, and that does cause people to hate him. Isn't that right, Steve?
Yep.
And then the ugly, Hornygate, Mr. Christian Horner. They were...
Deserved? Maybe?
Oh, I'm not sure I was going to use deserved, mate. Maybe.
Sorry. Continue.
I was going to say they were the strongest. And
they were.
Yeah, he was thrown. It was like he legitimately had to sort of like recenter himself to deliver. And... they did not let him go. They had a second little boo as well. So, whew.
Yeah, they really tried to dismantle him. He almost did. He almost had a shot back, and then he really checked himself.
Yeah. I felt like he was going to fire back, and then he recentered and just kept going, which is the right thing to do, of course.
Yes, it is. Listen, whatever your belief, and this is what I think we all need to remember. We are forming an opinion of a bloke based on what media outlets have delivered to us.
Yep.
Whether you sit on the side of he's a dog and he's done what he's done, or you sit on the side of he's innocent and this was just a trial. Sorry, people, I just knocked over the microphone with my hands.
Excuse you. He's getting so fired up about this.
No, but whatever you like, whatever side you sit, you still, and this even goes for the Australian Open recently.
Yeah.
You need to be respectful.
Yep.
Right? Especially in these type of environments, you need to be. I don't care in the heat. If you're at a football match and you know, somebody does something that you don't like, yeah, whatever. Don't care. Boo them. It doesn't worry me. But for this type of thing, I don't think it was the right place, the right time, and it did sort of create a dampener. And I'm sure, you know, Jerry was there as well. So
yes,
think about the partner in that instance as well, because it's not just Christian that's, you know, standing there. It's his family, it's his kids, it's everything that goes with it, and we need to remember that too. As much as you can believe what you want, right? Like you can believe that he's a shit bloke, but at the end of the day, wrong spot.
Yeah. I think it's a lot of, you can get onto a whole different subject, about the way we are on social media and that detachment sometimes. I think that has definitely grown worse over the years with more social media stuff, that you kind of have this detachment. They're a figure on screen, and 10% of who they are and what they are. And even if it is like, I think it's, if it's all true, you can have an opinion about him, but still, right time, right place. And I think it was pretty ugly, whether it was deserved or not. Yeah,
it put a downer on an overall, a great event.
Yes. Now, we've got a few other notes here, but I wanted to just kind of wrap up just a little bit with, let's just quickly give me your thoughts on the overall spectacle of one giant launch, a massive fanfare, and where do you sit with what they've done and how they've launched?
Right. Good question, Damo.
Do you need time to think? I'll kick off if you like.
No, I don't. I actually liked it. So for me, I think this should be a yearly thing. The only little asterisk I would put next to it is that it needs to be earlier in February, and that the cars that are shown aren't display cars.
Yep.
So give the teams enough time to be ready, but also give the teams enough time to get out to the testing program so that they can actually have the cars on display. And that be the start. Not like what we've had where McLaren's run a false livery to run their car on track and all that. Just everyone in one spot, get your car ready. This is the reveal. And just give us, give us that more time looking at the car.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of fanfare, a little bit of distraction going on. And I would much rather be having a bit more of a gaze at the car than, listening to a DJ for an entire set.
Yeah, and I'm with you, because initially, I think I gave thoughts on what they did in Vegas, having this big, huge event, and I was just like, it's just really is detracting from the racing. But I did love that everyone was launching on the same day, so you didn't get these dribs and drabs, and some people missing their shakedowns, and I think it was much cleaner if they can get that done the week before and your shakedowns happen. I think that would be great. I think it's tough to try and get them timing wise to make sure the teams have enough time, but I think overall I was quite happy. I think they can do a lot to improve it, but I did like the fact it was one big kind of event that was happening, and they were all there shaking it down with some good. Some of them were really good, like introductions. I thought the Aston Martin, you mentioned it earlier, I felt like it was like a bit of everything. Always have to have the James Bond theme, and then you've always got this and that.
That can drop.
Yeah, like
that whole James Bond theme
Just get rid of it.
Just get rid of it.
Because
if that wasn't there, it would have been so much better.
Yeah, the animation of, you know, starting at Aston Hill and moving through the years, I think was really cool. So yeah, I liked it from that end. So I'm actually I am on board with it. I think if they can clean it up just a little, that would be perfect.
It'll be wicked. And look, you know, maybe they can't get the real cars there. That's, you know, nor here nor there. But
yeah,
I think overall, yeah, it's good. Just give me a little bit more time to look over the cars, look at the detail.
Yeah.
And for God's sake, Mercedes actually have, you know, launch photos so that people can
come on
see it.
Come on, man.
Like, wow.
All right, no. Well, I guess that kind of concludes the launch. Now, as I say, shit's getting real.
It is.
February 26th.
We had testing, don't we?
Yeah.
Where the talk stops and the walk starts.
Yeah.
So we have to see where these cars sit. Now, you know, there's big rumors about McLaren's changes being quite effective and finding them quite a lot of time. There's no discussion about Red Bull at the moment, which I find fascinating.
Yeah.
We've got Merc, who basically is almost sounds like they've given up for this year.
Yeah.
And then Ferrari all in with Hamilton.
Yeah,
so it's interesting.
It does have that potential, just with, you know, people who are on a roll, people who are rebuilding, and like, okay, 2026 is new engine stuff and new changes, so, you know, let's not go too hard. There is a bit of that going around, and yeah, it is funny how some whispers and some rumors are coming out, and some people are talking about certain things, and then others are dead quiet, and it just feels like a nothing. But yeah, I think it'll be good to see from a Red Bull point of view how Liam Lawson, just to give that comparison, Sergio and Max, and, you know, just to see if they can actually, if he's better, maybe that will help with their development in the right path.
Yeah, look, I mean, it'll be very interesting to see how Liam goes. My mother-in-law, who's a Kiwi, asked me about him, and how I thought he would go this year, and I sort of said to her, look, you know, this is what you need to remember, is that he really has only done like 11 Grand Prix over the period of 2 years. So it's not a lot of running.
Yep.
And you kind of have to check your expectation of what it is he's going to be able to do. But at the same time, he's in a situation that it's sink or swim.
Yeah. Because
Red Bull is just going to drop you if you can't get within 0.4 of max.
Yeah.
So he's got a lot of work to do, and I'm sure he's been doing a lot of work in the sim and getting organized for it. So I look forward to seeing how close he can get to max in the opening stages, but I think it'll be probably a little bit of grace for about 4 races, and then he'll have to be on it.
Getting up on it. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, mate.
Yeah.
Have we missed anything? Is that...
I think we have. I think that's probably... We've probably bored the shit out of people for long enough, haven't we?
Well, hopefully not, but possibly yes.
No. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. And we have, you know, some big races. You know, we didn't even touch on NASCAR Damo, and that could be its own, because Daytona ran last weekend.
Daytona.
That was crazy. So there's so much motorsport coming on, and the footy starting back up, and it's just a big year, and it feels like a big year.
Big year. Just everyone's going to be winning. Everyone's a winner, right?
No, because there's always got to be a loser, and there's usually more losers than there are winners. But hopefully for us, it's a good year.
Yeah. No, I think we'll keep covering stuff, and obviously we'll be here next week. We do have to delay the starts, unfortunately, just personal commitments around the traps, but as soon as we can, keep an eye out on the socials. We'll be dropping things as things happen, just, you know, little tidbits of things that we see here or big items that happen.
Yep.
And yeah, other than that, we will catch you next week. If you do like it, make sure you like and subscribe. Yeah. See you later, Steve. Week.
Yeah, see you, mate. Thanks for the chat. So, guys, thanks for tuning in.